Welcome to the HabitStack Podcast, where we talk with fellow founders who are in the thick of things, growing their business, because it's always interesting to hear from people who are in the heat of the battle. You know, they're not necessarily talking about things that happened in the past, even if they're big and exciting things. They're talking about exciting things that are happening in the here and now. That's really valuable to learn from people like that. So that's why we do what we do. I'm Scott Ward, the founder of HabitStack, and here today we have Chris Raulf. He is the founder of Boulder SEO Marketing, an international SEO consultant, an educator, probably a few other things that I didn't find on LinkedIn. So yeah, Chris, good to have you on
Hey,
the
Dang.
on the.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. We do work with a lot of builders.
Oh, you
So
do? Okay, so I said
yeah,
it
we
okay
do.
actually.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on your podcast.
You know, I I'm always curious what people are reading about, listening, reading. You know, what's the learning area of your life looking like these days?
Yeah, so right now, so I own a digital marketing agency, search engine optimization agency, and then I still am, I guess I'm a consultant, speaker, educator on AI and search engine optimization. So as you know, and as probably most everybody knows that's listening to this conversation, after Chat GPT launched in November of 2022, the world changed, right? Every industry is impacted, including heavily the digital marketing industry and specifically search engine optimization.
It's
So
an
things
interesting time to be a publisher.
Oh man, no kidding. Yeah, so and I'm very happy that I got into it right away. So every day I'm listening to, podcasts, to interviews, to a lot of written content, et cetera, on how AI is evolving and in particular in my industry. And I'm happy to say, I guess I was one of the first people that got into it right away. I gave a European localization, translation, globalization association. They asked me to do a webinar on how AI is impacting global digital marketing. So I had to, you know, find information so I can put on a great show for these people. So I watched literally about 120 hours of YouTube videos of conferences that were available, and I found the right content to educate myself. And ever since, that's what I do now on a daily basis. So to answer your question, I listen and read up on AI stuff that impacts my industry and also other industries because it's a very interesting topic. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, interesting. So these days, learning is actually your job. You know, like
Yeah.
not a side thing. It's not a nice to have. It's actually what you're in the middle of. Oh, that's interesting, and I'm glad to have you to talk to you because I think everybody is, well, not everybody, but many people have lots of questions about SEO and AI, and it's instead of listening to the 120 hours of videos, you can give us a little insight in terms of what's what.
Yeah. So, I mean, I immediately obviously realized that AI is going to impact everybody on this earth in some form or shape. I think, understood that it's going to heavily impact the search engine optimization industry. So to me, it was very clear there's going to be the people that are going to use and abuse the technology. And there's the people that are going to use it in a way that is legit, that is, long lasting. Most people, including me sometimes, are lazy, right? So a lot of people started to abuse the AI technology. They started to put up AI generated content on their websites, which is against Google's webmaster tools, Google's content creation guidelines. So it was 100% clear to me that a lot of agencies, they're going to abuse this technology. So I want to do it the right way. So we eventually, spend a lot of time thinking about it and then incorporating this technology into our methodology. We created a trademarked SEO methodology called Micro SEO
I saw that. I saw
strategies.
that. I'm not sure about what that is.
I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So we developed that in 2021, before AI, right? So we have since updated this methodology. We developed an AI agent that is now part of the micro SEO methodology. We spend a lot of time, resources, and money putting the effort into it that is required to be able to do something that's sustainable. And I'm thrilled to announce that I think I have cracked the code as of right now. What we're doing is working extremely well. We're able to achieve incredible results for our customers with the help of our methodology, AI-assisted, human-driven SEO strategies. A lot of other agencies, they do it the other way around. So we put in the effort and it's working so well. So we're doing really well right now.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, maybe you can't share your secret sauce, but can you share as much as you can in terms of, in concrete terms, like what is it what are we learning? What's working about the, how to do it in this day and age? And maybe I'll ask one concrete question. I was recently talking to somebody that made the observation that it seems like, uh, recency, like the AI overviews really care about recency. Is that something that you've observed as well?
So it's a combination, recency, and then two of the most important factors if you try to get into these AI overviews, which Google is now showing nearly 60 to 70% of all times when you do a search. It's an AI overview, right?
Yeah.
So it's the domain authority, the trust of the website, right? Because that's Google doesn't want to show websites of spammers, websites that have been up for, a month or two.
Yep.
So Google takes a very close look, what's the reputation of this website? Has it been around for a while? Are they putting up legit content, high quality content? And then one of the most important things is the EEAT score of the person publishing the content. That stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, right? If you can prove to Google that you have that you're a legit expert in your field, like when I put up content on our website, it ranks immediately because I've been doing this for nearly 30 years now,
Yeah.
right? So Google knows about me. I speak globally about this stuff. I have a very solid digital footprint in that, Google 100% understands who Chris Raulf is. If you do a search for just my name, you're going to find a ton of information about me, interviews that I've done, speaking engagements, et cetera, et cetera. So once you have established an EEAT score, it's going to be so easy to rank in these AI overviews. So that's, to answer part of your question, that's one of the things that we help our customers with. We help our customers establish an EEAT score through, digital PR, high quality content creation. Like there's many things that we do, but this is something that's really hard that most agencies don't get. And we're really good at that, right? Because I tested with myself on my personal website. So that's one of the components of our micro SEO strategy.
Why is it micro SEO?
Well, I had to come up with a cool name and, I did
That
a
would be more
research. Yeah. So basically micro, because we don't use the shotgun approach. It's a super hyper focused approach on, at the beginning, we would pick a low hanging fruit opportunity. We would check a website, does it already rank for a really interesting keyword, but it's not on page one, right? And then we would build ultimate page of content around that keyword and other related keywords. So it was like a micro container. That's why we picked the word micro SEO. And I think it's a cool word.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's cool too. Yeah. Um, It's a little bit of a different question, but I'm always curious about how people choose their positioning. And so you have a SEO marketing company, but it's specifically Boulder,
Yep.
right? Um, that's pretty kind of bold. That was to pick a country. I mean, sorry, a city.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that position. I mean, because I guess this is the background of the question is often the instinct whenever somebody's thinking about positioning themselves or niching down or whatever, it's always scary because it feels like, well, I'm going to exclude so many people. And of course, it's a good idea to exclude people because it includes others. But anyway, how did you end up becoming the Boulder SEO?
I don't think ever somebody asked me that question. Sorry. So I started this business as Marketing by Chris. Okay, I put up a website, Marketing by Chris. I thought I'd be a consultant. And then I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to start a company. So then I changed it to Froggy Marketing because I like frogs.
Yeah.
And then I needed a real website. So I asked one of my friends who's a web developer. I'm like, hey, Steve, I think I need a real website. And then he created a website and he's like, by the way, I chose the name Boulder SEO Marketing because it was available. I'm like, that sounds great. I started as a local SEO company, but then ironically, one of my first clients, a big client, was a company in Israel. And then signed on more international clients because I'm originally from Switzerland. So I'm one of the few global international SEO experts. If you do a search for international SEO expert, you'll find my personal website at the very top in Google. So I guess we took on international clients, then national clients, and now we're sort of strategizing. We're going back to the roots where there's so much business here in Colorado. So we're rebranding to be Colorado's top SEO, AI SEO agency. So we don't exclusively work with companies in Colorado, but I figured, I don't need to be everything to everybody. And it's working really well. So we're in the middle of this rebranding to be Colorado's top SEO agency. Because man, I tell you, we're a lot less expensive than companies on the West and East Coast. So we have that advantage. And then, the people that work for me, they've been with me for years and years. So we're rebranding. We're becoming Colorado's top SEO agency, and we work with, companies all over the US and globally.
That's a great story. That's a great, things. There's so much obsession. There's so much thought and analysis that goes into things, and other times it's just serendipity, and it just works.
Yes. But I I don't dwell too long when I have to make decisions. That's just the way I am, right? Like, all right, let's just do it and see how it goes, and then change it later if we have to.
So do you guys do SEO pretty much exclusively, or do you do other marketing things? It's just it's specialized.
Very good question. So when people, when they hear the word SEO, they think it's a very narrow path that, these companies take. So our methodology includes obviously content marketing, digital PR, it includes social media marketing, but that's part of the SEO infrastructure that we bring to the table. So just today, we had a great sales call with a new client that signed on, and they were like, well, you guys just do SEO. Who's going to write our content? I'm like, well, yeah, we do that. And they're like, well, but we need social media. I'm like, well, that's part of it as well, right? But then it's like, oh, we need PR. I'm like, well, that's part of our methodology as well, right? This is why so many SEO agencies, they do SEO the old way. That's completely outdated. So we bring a very comprehensive SEO solution to the table. I don't like to call it digital marketing because then people think it's way more than what it needs to be. So I still like to be in the SEO space and then educate people that, hey, as part of SEO, we also do this,
Right.
and this, right? Yeah.
Um, and I guess so that would exclude things like paid media and stuff like that, or do you get into that down as
So
well?
we don't do paid media, but I've been doing this for nearly 30 years, right? So we have a network of
Right.
somebody, it's influencer marketing. I have, a couple, two, three resources. PPC, we have resources. So
Mm.
whatever somebody needs, we'll have a partner that will bring that to the table that we can bring into the project.
Yeah, it's interesting, Chris. So basically, what you're saying is your perspective or your experience is that SEO, in order to be effective, is just this larger thing now that includes um, what maybe people used to think of as separate
Yeah.
practices. Um, but I assume that because you're leading with SEO, it kind of emphasizes that, like, in the end, what it's all adding up to is people searching for something and getting a high ranking, but it's the infrastructure behind it includes a lot more than what we think it does. Huh. That's
Yeah. So it's
good
an
insight.
SEO thing that's just a foot in the door, right? So that people search for SEO company Denver. We're at the very top, right?
Yeah.
They need SEO. And then, once I have a chance to talk to them, I don't do sales. I educate. And if we're a good fit at the end of the day, then, let's try to work together and figure it out. And then usually clients stay with us for years and years to come.
So you said something. I'm always curious what people are working on and what's going on, in the next 12 months, something like that they're excited about in their business. And it sounds like one of the things is a rebrand, so refocus back on Colorado. Are there some other exciting initiatives on the
Yeah.
go?
They so we built that AI agent. We started to build it, I guess about 9 months ago now. Things are changing so fast in this space.
I've noticed that in AI. And it's a little quick.
Oh, it's mind blowing. Yeah, so I just took a 2 week vacation, right? And I'm like getting anxious of what I'm missing. I have full or fear of missing out, right? No, so we're upgrading. We're using a new system to migrate our agent to that. The capability, what we initially built is very simple. What we're building now is extremely comprehensive. I don't think anybody has something that we're building. So I'm very excited about that, but it takes a lot of time, resources, money, thinking to do that. So hopefully my goal is before the end of the year, we're fully migrated and we have built out that new system that will allow us to do more for less money, better results for our clients. That's the goal. And we're already on our way every day. We're getting more efficient. We're able to achieve better results at, at a really attractive pricing point.
What does the agent do, Chris? Like what does it do?
Oh boy, it's a lot of things. The most important thing is that it basically spits out an outline of a piece of content. There's no guessing what needs to be in a content in order for it to rank at the top in Google and to get into these AI overviews in a nutshell, right? And then follow up things. It's also then going to create supporting content like digital press releases, social media content at a push of a button, and it's actually compliant with Google's helpful content guidelines, which means that once we have created the ultimate piece of content using our AI research and humans to write the content, then we can actually run the AI on creating supporting content that's feeding on the source content to create digital PR, social media, and all these other things that we need, to broaden the digital footprint of our information.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. What as I'm always curious what tooling people are using these days because it's changing so fast too. Is there like a some kind of no code agent platform that you're building this on, or are you building it up from scratch, or what?
I should have brought my business partner, Daniel Burns, into this conversation. I'm the visionary, I'm the thinker. I don't care about tools. I just, I woke up one night and I'm like, crap, why haven't I done this before? And then I spent 6 days just like prompt engineering using, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude. So I built a team and I just did prompt engineering for 6 days. And then I created a prompt sequence. And then I took that to Daniel and said, build me a tool.
I
This is
got
what
it.
it needs to do. So I don't care about tools. Like could care less. That's
Mm.
not my thing. Uh, I trust that, we use the right kind of tools. But I don't want to worry about this. I have
Sure.
enough things to worry about.
Yeah. Um, so shifting over a little bit to, as you can, I don't know if you looked at HabitStack, but my area of interest, the thing that I think about all day, every day is goal setting and execution. And I have this driving question that I'd like to ask you, which is one thing I've noticed, you may have noticed this in yourself as well, or with your team, is that we set goals and sometimes we hit them and sometimes we don't. And so in your experience, like what is it that goes into what what causes us to miss goals?
Or if you don't write it down, if you
Yeah.
don't keep track of it, right? So we follow traction.
Mm.
Are we familiar with traction, right?
Yeah.
So we just had our weekly traction meeting. That's a great way to, you got the rocks, you got
Mhm.
and yeah, like all the ways to keep track of goals. And that we're a small company, we're little bit less than 20 people.
Yeah.
That seems to be working well. And then personally for me, I have a Kanban board
Hmm.
that seems to work well for me. And then, uh, yeah, I think traction and,
What is it about traction that, like, what is it do you think makes the difference? What part of it is the most salient to goal execution?
well, I mean, you have a weekly meeting in our case with the entire team, and it's very structured
Mm.
way of being organized and writing down action item tasks, etc. And then we have separate agendas for marketing, operation, different departments. So then we delegate it over from the main traction agenda over to the marketing meeting, etc., etc. And it's very efficient and I like it. And things get done this
Mm.
way. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways, right, to stay organized. Uh, um, yeah, and I looked at your website. Seems like a very good solution as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It has a lot of overlap with traction, kind of with a narrow focus, a narrower focus on what traction calls
Yeah.
rocks, and building the habits around executing them. So yeah, I really like traction. I think it's helped a lot of people to get a sense for. I think when we first start out, a lot of times, early on, you actually vastly underestimate how hard it is to achieve things, to actually make things happen, and how much attention and effort and consistency it requires to follow through on a particular goal and execute it. Has that been your observation?
Oh yeah. So back in the day when I was still an employee, and I'm not going to name the employer, but we would have a weekly meeting. I think it was Monday morning or one of the days, right, where we talked about goals and things to do, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody took notes.
Right.
Like this is shocking, right? I volunteered to take notes. I was a I'm not going to name the function that I was in there at this point. I try to take notes and then assign actions to people, and it just didn't happen. And I'm shocked. Uh, it still worked in some form or shape, but you're not going to get where you need to get if you don't have a system in place that holds you accountable for your tasks that you need to do, right? So I'm spending a lot of money on employees, and I better know that things get done when we talk about it. Like, time is money. It literally is
Yeah.
money.
Do you
Uh,
ever have, either in that experience where you were with before, the company you were with before your current company now, I found that there's some people that when you talk about things like this, they're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I like working that way. And other people like, ooh, that sounds like a lot of structure and micromanagement, and I'm not, feel stifling. Um, how do you win the hearts and minds of people who, if they have their reaction is not positive towards that much structure?
so I mean, this company is not a democracy.
Yeah,
I'm the boss, right?
yeah,
I'm responsible to keep it afloat, to make sure everybody gets paid, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no negotiating. That's absolutely 100% not. Like, if I talk with somebody, there better be an agenda and things better get written down. I think I'm a very nice boss. Everybody seems to be happy at my company. So for me, it's non-negotiable. If we talk about things, they better get written down. And I want to know that things get done. So people have, I want to see the agendas, and I want to see that things are moving forward. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. And I'm getting to a point in my life where, I'm getting older. My time is limited. So we better make the most of the time that we have. And the only way, in my opinion, to do that is to have a structured approach to running a business. Otherwise, you're just wasting time and money. And, I don't have enough of both, of either of those. Yeah.
yeah. I think that. So what you're saying there is basically it's a recruiting hiring prerequisite essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. People know what they're getting into when they start. I presume is it part of what you talk about during the interview process?
Yeah. Ideally, they already, have had experience with traction or a system
Mhm.
like yours. Um, what I don't want to hear is, that they just worked, shooting from the hip, because that's usually not a good fit. People, so again, I'm from Switzerland originally. Everybody has to go to the army. So I went to the army when I was 18. And you know what? For the first time in my life, I had a very structured approach to every day.
Right.
It sucked in a way. They took away a lot of your freedom, but you at least knew how things work. And I learned a lot from my military service. And usually people that have a military background, I don't run my company like a military officer, but you learn a lot of structure, and it's not a bad thing, right? I'm also a parent to biological kids, five kids total.
Mm.
There needs to be structure. It's when you have to get a lot of kids ready for school, there needs to be structure. And you got to apply that same principle on how to run a business, because you're dealing with people. They need structure, right? So I believe having a good structure in place, goal setting, accountability, very important no matter what you do.
I've heard people talk about playing high level sports is another kind
Yeah.
of experience that helps people to experience the kind of the benefits of structure and discipline and the positive outcomes there. So that's another experience I think people
Yeah, so sorry, on that note, yeah, so I played competitive soccer all my life. I
Mm,
still play. I'm just about to hit 55. I'm still out there once or twice a week. And, it definitely helped me. I played the very competitive soccer. Same thing.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just run around there and chase the ball. So it definitely helped me,
Yeah.
get to where I'm now. I'm not now.
So you said the word accountability. I'll pick up on that. You must still have the situation where you're having your quarterly rocks are set, weekly meetings. Everybody's going engaged in the process, and you still miss the goal. Right? Not every rock gets completed. So, what does accountability look like in that situation with people that report to you?
Yeah, so to me, I mean, my job is I don't need to be involved in every detail. I need to see the big picture. Um, so as long as I see that everybody is putting in the work, not neglecting things in a way that they shouldn't, I'm okay if timelines slip. And also my job is to reallocate goal setting, right? When uh, things, you know, happen that are more important, then we're going to reallocate time and resources to that. And then it's totally fine that we're not going to be able to do these 2 or 3 rocks. I don't care. Because then, we're doing things that are, in my opinion, more important. And I make my employees feel like, it's okay. You don't have to do that by then because we're going to try to achieve something else that's more important. Let's just shift the goalpost a little bit to a little bit further out, right? So I don't want people to stress out. Um, I think that's very important as a business leader to tweak, make adjustments, and by the way, if any who's people watching this, there are a few really good interviews, recent interviews with Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google and chairman of Alphabet. He's such a strategic person. I don't agree with everything that this company is doing, but that guy is a master in strategic thinking. I always say I watch everything that comes out of his mouth because it impacts me dramatically. So following people like that is teaching me a lot on how to run a tiny business,
Right.
right? Yeah.
What's an example of something that's struck you recently from what he said?
Well, it goes back to when, ChatGPT launched and Google, they were not the first to market with back then. Their tool was called Bard, Assistant Bard, then turned into Gemini.
Yeah.
So one, people pressed him on, oh my God, you missed the boat. You have failed. And he was like, no, we have not. Yeah, we may have been late, a little bit late to the game. We did not anticipate that. But you will see in 2 years from now, we have caught up and we have a product that's better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the way I try to approach things now. Like it doesn't matter. You cannot always win at everything, but as long as you keep your eye on the horizon, and long-term thinking, that's going to get you where you need to get to. So I've been following obviously Pichai for a long time, and I closely listen to everything he says. And he's just like one of the most strategic thinkers that I've ever encountered in, my SEO bubble life here.
It does feel like the lion's share of goal achievement is persistence,
Yeah.
sticking around longer than anybody else. It's inevitable, especially, yeah, it's inevitable that you'll succeed if you stay at it. I mean, inevitable is too strong, but
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So we usually do really well. I don't get too excited when we do really well. We just had, with the geopolitical system. things that are going on right now, we lost nearly 30% of our monthly recurring revenue.
Mm-mm.
Brutal, right? So for the first time, I had to actually let people go, which is terrible. It's horrible. You don't want to be in that position. But, I also had to tell myself that it's not personal. And I know we're going to get through this, but I have to do what I have to do in order, to be back on track 6 months from now. And, we're 6 months now from that moment, and we're, back on track.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I didn't freak out. I'm like, yeah, we were losing money and, I cannot lay off everybody because then we no longer have a company. So sadly, we had to make those cuts and it was terrible. I feel bad about it. But at the end of the day, this company is my baby and that's what I need to do. And, I'm not going to freak out about it. We'll get to it. So that's what I learned from like these really big
Yeah.
business leaders that, have to make hard decisions sometimes in order to achieve long-term success.
Yeah. You know what you were saying earlier about how you handle accountability and changing goals. I think that there's a lot of wisdom there, Chris. Like the, I agree with you that the it does need to be about end results, but holding ourselves accountable to engagement with the process and making progress is actually the most important thing. And ultimately, like, like in the short term, it's inputs. Yeah, are we consistently um, generating the inputs, and then in the longer term, it's the outputs. Otherwise, it's just it's a wild and woolly world, right? Like it's hard to predict. Even a quarter, it's really hard to predict what you
Yeah.
can accomplish in a quarter. It's important to have a goal, but it's very difficult to know for sure whether or not it's reasonable or what else is going to happen. But it's complicated. This kind of thing why I like the area is that it's not as simple. There's an art to it because it's not as simple as saying, yeah, you know what, just work hard and we won't just work towards something and we won't don't need to set goals. Why set goals if we're going to change them or whatever?
Yeah.
No, there's a way in which they are still important because we still are um we still want to have a scoping for our activities, right? What I need to do this week in order to move towards the goal will depend on what the goal is and how big it is, right? Maybe I need to do something really bold. Maybe I need to do something small, but there's no way to scope it unless you set a goal and and a timeline.
I think running a business is similar to getting an education, right? The ultimate goal is getting that degree. The only way you're going to get there, and sometimes it's a, 2, 3 year degree. There's many little steps and there's many different things you have to do. You got to, show up in class, you got to do homework, you got to study, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, what really counts is getting that degree. I think that's how I approach running this business. The big thing that I like to get done by the end of the year. And I know there's many steps and different tasks and all this stuff that needs to be done by different people. And my goal is to make sure that, we're going to get there.
Mhm.
And I think you know, a lot of people, sadly, a lot of businesses go out of business because, you're not getting taught running a business. You don't, right? There's very few degrees that actually do that. You
Yeah.
learn how to learn, right? How to get a degree or something. But this is why I believe a lot of businesses go out of business because most of us suck at running a company. And as you know, we wear so many different hats. But so that's why I was trying to take a few steps back and not get too involved in the nitty and gritty. Really try to focus on the bigger picture, especially as this operation is growing. I didn't wake up and was a business leader. It's like you learn that over time. And luckily, I made a lot of mistakes. Luckily, early on when I started this business, and bad mistakes that cost me money. that's when it hurts, and that's when you learn the most and the fastest.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank goodness for the mistakes that don't kill
Oh
us.
yeah, I'm really good at making mistakes.
That's one of my specialties.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, it's been really fun to talk. I appreciate you sharing some really interesting insights around what's happening in SEO and AI. I think people will be benefited by some of your insight and then the conversation about business and goals. Yeah, I think about that stuff a lot, and so I appreciate you putting your perspective into the mix as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Scott. This was a pleasure.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.